Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Shovel Knight. It's been a while, but we're getting back to business, starting with this random encounter right here. If any of you have played Super Mario Bros. 3, then this is probably rather familiar to you. It's probably what it's based off of, and if not, it's an interesting coincidence. But basically, in this random encounter, we just go around exploring this level, and it's essentially a money run. There's pretty much not much of a purpose here besides getting money. However, these whelps, I believe I actually called it a drake in the last episode, can be rather annoying, but overall we can just try to avoid them. I'm sorry for the delay between this episode and the last one. I did not mean to take so long to record episode 3 of the series to anyone that actually cares, but thankfully we're back. So back in the village, the first thing we should do is turn in our money sheets, obviously. Well, money sheets? Music sheets, obviously. I mean, I know that we're trying to get money for them, but I think calling them money sheets is getting a bit ahead of ourselves. And with that, we can now buy some stuff that we missed out on last time we were here. For example, one of these things is arguably one of the more important items in the game, the Trowel Chalice. We buy 2 of them, and we will be buying both. Their purpose will be explained very shortly. And by very shortly, I mean a few minutes. And also we can buy a rather good relic, the Chaos Sphere. It's basically a sphere that bounces around and damages any enemy on contact, so it's quite useful in tight corridors. By the way, to those of you that don't know, should you ever miss a relic on a level, because every level has one, Chester will be selling them. We have the addition. The next thing we want, well, if we could increase our health, that's what we'd be doing, but right now we should probably increase our maximum MP. Thankfully, her prices are, well, they don't increase as steeply as the Goticians, but still it can add up quite a bit if you're trying to buy all of them. So, not the most unreasonable thing to buy in the game. Anyway, we're going to quickly just exit here and go to an area we have not been to yet. This, magnificent creature is the Trowel King. Who has awakened me? Mortal, dost thou need aid? I sense a Trowel Chalice. I can feel it with magical ichor. That's pronounced ichor. Thank you, Trowel King. Choose your ichor wisely. Anyway, we have 3 options here. The Ichor of Renewal, which fills all health and magic, probably the most useful one. The Ichor of Boldness, become invincible for 10 seconds. Ichor of Fortune, absorb nearby treasure for 60 seconds. While the Renewal and Boldness are both good, I normally just go for Renewal. However, we will be getting both of them since we have 2 Trowel Chalices. Subjects, a new initiate joins us. The ceremony shall commence. Fare thee well, Shovel Knight, return if thou hast need of my aid again. For the record, the reason I was not commentating during the dance was not because I didn't want to ruin the scene. It's really just because there's not much I can say. Anyway, I'm going to go return this music sheet and then we will be right back. And we're back, and with that we can finally take on a new level in this episode, the Lich Yard, Lair of Spectre Knight. Honestly, Spectre Knight's probably one of my favorite knights in the game. I mean, King Knight might be fun for just his awesomeness factor and he's funny, but honestly, Spectre Knight's cool, simply because the Grim Reaper is just cool. I mean, might sound childish to say, but the Grim Reaper, just the whole skeleton boss guy wearing a hood and a scythe, that's just a classic. Anyway, the Lich Yard is the first level that has a gimmick to it, although it's not become apparent yet, although once it does, it'll be quite obvious. Anyway, I mentioned earlier that there's a delay between this episode and the last. I do apologize for that for anyone that has been watching my videos. Basically, I've been having trouble getting a consistent recording schedule active, and I've only recently been able to get that ready. Which is a shame because, honestly, it might be easy for my upload schedule to come across as lazy because, you know, I'm not always on time. I'm late when I say I'm going to upload something, but to be honest, it's really not because of laziness. I honestly love recording these videos, and I certainly hope I'm entertaining anyone that's watching this, but sometimes you just have a lot going in life, and it can be easy for your schedule to just slip a little bit. Thankfully, though, I have worked out a more consistent upload schedule, and that should not be happening nearly as much. Great, 4 videos in, I'm already talking about upload schedules and how about my schedule keeps slipping. That's not a very good sign, is it? That's enough about me. Let's get back to the game. This here is already the mini-boss of this area. Thankfully, once he, gets up, you can cheese him pretty easily with the pogo jump. Much like many of the mini-bosses, except for the Griffin in the last level. It's almost kind of a shame that the pogo jump is a bit overpowered, but then again, I'm certainly not going to complain because I suppose one of the alternatives would be to not have it at all, and it's just too good of a move to not have in this kind of game. And continuing on to the level, you might have noticed these frogs electrify themselves every now and then. Surprisingly, that does not hurt you when you hit them. Like, when I first played the game, I would always just avoid hitting them whenever they lit up like that, because I thought that some weird physics electricity thing would cause me to get shocked if I hit them with my shovel. However, that is surprisingly not the case. Anyway, I mentioned there being a gimmick in this level. If I have to explain what it is, then I'm not sure what to say. The darkness can be rather annoying, but thankfully you can tell via the silhouettes and the frequent lightning flashes where everything is. That being said, it really does not make jumping across pits any easier, or, for that matter, any calmer. I mean, this is a pretty good opportunity to show off the Chaos Spear, actually. Because it pierces through enemies, it can hit quite a few times, and can hit many enemies at once. It's rather useful against certain bosses, honestly, especially Plague Knight later on, but that's the next episode. Anyway, with the chest here, it's pretty easy to get as long as you can control yourself easily. You have to deal with ghosts, but they're honestly a non-issue. You can't kill them, but, hi. Was not expecting that. But you can't kill the ghosts, but you can just stun them for a bit. So, overall, they're quite manageable. I mean, hey, it could be worse. There's obviously a secret up there, but thankfully, though, it's pretty easy to get to. Just do this. And here's where it can get a bit tricky. I'm not going to lie, this is probably my least favorite part of the level. Like, it's not super hard or anything, but it's easy to panic, especially when you keep trying to jump when it's dark. Where am I? Okay, right here. Thankfully that we got through with no hassles. And can we... Yes, we can make that. We don't have to pogo jump on there. It'd be easy to second guess your trajectory of jump sometimes, especially in platforms like this. Anyway, should be pretty obvious, but should we fall in the water there, should the platform sink all the way, that's pretty much instant death. Apparently, despite all his years of adventuring, Shovel Knight cannot swim at all, although, considering the heavy armor, I suppose, that's actually kind of justified. Anyway, we found a trowel here. Basically, now that we have the trowel chalices, then should we ever find one of these guys, then we have an empty chalice, then he'll fill it he'll basically fill it with an ichor for us. Yeah, there's really not much I can say about that. And we're back. First death in the series, and it's a rather humiliating one, honestly. Well, at least I can show off the trick on how to get your gold back. To be honest, I probably should have seen that coming after I saw the platform rise all the way up on there. Granted, it's not an impossible jump, but it's slightly trickier than what could be otherwise. Still no real excuse for me dying there, but apparently that's what happened was when I tried to talk and play. Still, though, these spikes are arguably more dangerous than the water simply because it's easier to jump into something than it is to fall into it, at least it is for me. No idea about you guys. Going to try to kill that thing with a Chaos Sphere, but it looks like it's not going to happen. I mainly did not want to jump into it and risk getting knocked back into the spikes. Are you dead yet? Yes. He's never... probably the hardest bug I've ever had to kill in a video game. I don't know, except maybe for the giant moth thing in Silent Hill. I forget what it's called. Silent Hill fans are probably screaming at me now. Alright, we have a small puzzle here. We just have to knock this skull all the way over here in order to get to make sure there's enough weight on the platform. And then we have to murder another frog. It's too bad. I've heard people say that frogs are ugly, but honestly, they're kind of adorable. There's certainly a lot uglier creatures out there. Like my mother, for example. Mom, if you ever watch this, I don't mean it. Maybe. Anyway. I suppose it's bad enough that I'm making your mom jokes about my mother, but I even ended up missing that area over there because I didn't pogo jump on the skeleton. Do you respawn? Thank you. Remember what I said about when I talk and play? Once again, another example. It's a good thing we were able to get back here, though, because there's a relic for us to gain. In the village or out in the field, I have all the deals. You're not gonna believe what I just found in this chest. Want to see? Anyway, here's the Phase Locket. Arguably the most overpowered relic in the game if you know how to use it correctly. Essentially, you just press up and... You can go fuck yourself. Anyway, you can just press up and square and you just become invincible for a few seconds. Allows you to bypass many things. I will not be abusing this as much as I possibly can, despite the temptation. I mean, while it might help you get past bosses, in my opinion, it does not make for a very fun time. It just makes the game too easy. So, thankfully though, it's not like you'll be forced to use it except in one secret area that will be appearing soon, but overall, I'm failing to brain right now. But thankfully, overall, as long as we're careful, we won't really need the phase lock in the game. It's really just there should you ever need the extra pick-me-up in terms of damage avoidance. Admittedly, it can be useful in a few areas. I actually do occasionally like to use it against the final boss. Anyway, we found the second music sheet, so we're good now. So in terms of the major secrets, we're good for this level now. We found both music sheets and the relic. And also, now we just mainly need to make our way to the boss. Bit of a preview, just what we're going to face. Spectre Knight is probably the first difficult boss in the game. King Knight and Black Knight, not that much of a problem if you're careful, but Spectre Knight is known for, is actually rather known for probably being the first boss that's likely to give you troubles. And this ghost needs to hit me, and it also needs to go away. Anyway, let's see what's in this fishing pond. Ghost, you better not. Hopefully we'll find... The fish can go fuck itself. Anyway, it was probably a golden fish considering we found the trowel pretty recently. But overall, let's try one more time to fish it out, now that the ghost is gone. You know, after 2 decent videos where I don't embarrass myself, I think I'm making up for it in every single way in this episode. I suppose I can't complain. I mean, hey, a nuclear throne, I managed to beat the captain for the first time for the first episode, so I guess all that has to even out somehow. And we find another giant skeleton guy. He's as easy to dispatch as the last one was, thankfully. You know, one of these days you should probably try playing the game much like how I play with the phase locket. I just play without abusing the pogo jump every so often. And then, instead of, you know, just abusing it. Because now I just abuse it and then I complain about how overpowered it is. So this is not really complaining, but more of just pointing it out, but, overall, I guess since not every boss can be broken with it, so I suppose I don't have that much of a right. Although, truthfully, you never really do have much of a right to complain about something when you're gleefully abusing it. Can we make that jump? No. We might be here for a while, unless we manage to time this right, fairly certain, like that. There we go. Hopefully I can make it for the embarrassment from earlier, like, for example, by not jumping into the void there. And good. Sorry if I go quiet, by the way, but it can be rather hard to focus on the game and talk whenever things keep going dark like this. I planned for this to be a better episode, but a lot of things are going wrong. But at the same time, I suppose I shouldn't complain. We're at the boss.
This is no place for the living, mortal. You shall be summoned when it is your time. And everyone has a time, as we saw with your beloved Shield Knight. Lies. I won't believe such talk from phantoms. Your very existence is a vile deception. The Enchantress is just full of surprises. She granted me new life, so that I may take yours.
Gotta love Spectre Knight. But as mentioned, I just seem to have a thing for Grim Reapers in general. You know, this is his main attack, and the one that's likely to give you some troubles. Like, if you're in the right place at the right time, then, you know, he is open during it, but it can be tricky to dodge at times, as you can see. Especially if you try to get ahead of yourself and try to basically get greedy with the damage. Overall, the Flare Wand is probably the best relic aside from the Phase Locket for him, simply because it's just simple and allows you to get damage from afar. Anyway, overall the battle's going smoothly, but soon that is about to change as things become a bit different. Essentially, the level gimmick will soon spread to the boss and he will start making things dark. Like right about now. No, I was wrong. This is where he starts spawning skeletons. It doesn't become dark until near the end. Sorry, misinformation. Much like that South Park episode. Although, South Park's funnier. Anyway, unfortunately, he isn't giving us that many opportunities to use the poke jump on him. If you are directly above him, then you can get quite a few free hits when he does that. If you also time it right, you can also get a good pogo jump or two on him whenever he starts, whenever he tries to do that charge with a scythe. Anyway, he's now made the level dark. This definitely makes it a bit more complicated for us, but overall, it's not that much. Overall, it's not that much of a problem. Really, Spectre Knight is mainly a battle about patience. As long as you don't get greedy, then if you just, you know, one thing, avoid strikes in the dark. As long as you don't get greedy with Spectre Knight, overall it's not too difficult to defeat him. And with that, we have defeated all of the bosses in World 1, and soon it will be time to move on to World 2. However, before then, we will get treated to our lovely dreams sequence and something different. I almost feel bad for Shovel Knight. Every so often just dream about Shield Knight, about to catch her, and just, whether he fails or he succeeds, it's just a dream. Anyway, unlike last time, we're actually going to try to catch her no matter what happens, although we might as well try to get as much money out of it as possible. I'm admittedly not sure as to how we're actually getting money from the dream sequence. That actually brings up quite a few questions that I'm not going to get into. Makes you really wonder, like, what's actually happening during this. Like, is he just searching for money? And we got her, okay. For a moment I thought we were not going to make good on our promise to catch her this time. That would have been embarrassing. Anyway, I have to wonder how all that money from the dream carries over, like, I don't know, maybe he's actually sleepwalking, finding money everywhere. Anyway, now that we've defeated the area boss, we found a meal ticket. This is pretty much the second way to get meal tickets aside from the Goatician. You just simply get one for free upon defeating the world boss. With that, that shall conclude today's episode. Tomorrow episode, we will clear another random encounter, and then finish off World 1 for good with that little diamond over there. And then we shall move on to World 2. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for watching.